Hey guys, what's up? This is Felix bringing you another episode of Tested, and today we're gonna have a look at GnuCash. GnuCash is an open source accounting program, and yeah, this one is in English, while my other videos are in German. I figured I'd make one in English, so for the rest of the world who is interested in GnuCash, here is your basic tutorial. Okay, we opened GnuCash. By the way, this is version 2.6.13, the latest stable version. Depending on which operating system you're using, you might not have the latest version. Say I'm using Ubuntu, and in the repository there's only version 2.6.12, so never mind. It's not a big deal. The changes are quite minor in this minor version upgrades. Okay, on every start you get the tip of the day, which you can read and show at startup, or just click close if you don't want to show it. Now, first thing we want to do is create a new file. So we go to File, New File, and there we can set up our new account hierarchy. So that means you're using GnuCash to sort your bills or your transactions in different categories. And yeah, that's why GnuCash has an account hierarchy, and you can use that to do exactly that. So GnuCash is using the double entry bookkeeping. That means every transaction you do is not only kept in one account, but in two. So you're booking from one account to another account. That's what you have to keep in mind when working with GnuCash. Now we go forward, and for this English tutorial we're using US dollar, which is okay. You can do some options here. We just leave it at the default, which is good. And then you get a selection of the account hierarchies that are available. So normally the common accounts should do just fine. This is what I'm using. So you have your assets, your equity, you have your expenses, and then income and liabilities, such as credit card or loans, which I hope you don't have, but in case you do, you can categorize them here. Okay, there are other account types, such as car loans, and if you click that, you add a vehicle loan interest or vehicle loan here. If you have childcare expenses, you get childcare as expense on top of your common accounts. So just check the ones you want to have, and yeah, GnuCash adds them for you. Okay, we just stay with the common accounts. They're fine for the beginning, and you can check out the other account types if you like to. Okay, we go forward, and now what GnuCash does is it creates some placeholder accounts on default. That means a placeholder account, you can't put transactions in. It's just there as a placeholder for other accounts. So our assets account is just a placeholder for the current asset, which is again a placeholder for like cash in wallet or checking account or saving account. So keep that in mind when creating new accounts. There is the placeholder checkmark, and yeah, you have to decide if the account is going to be a placeholder or just a normal account where you want to keep your transactions in. Okay, we leave it at that. That's just fine, and apply. Now we can save our file. You can save it either as XML, which is just a normal file, or you can save it in a database like MySQL, Postgres, SQLite. While SQLite is also a file, but the other two aren't. If you want to save it in MySQL or Postgres, of course you have to set up your database before that. So we don't we don't want to make that right now. If you like to, I can make a video on that, but for now we just keep with the XML file. That's okay, and we save it in documents. Let's create a new folder, GnuCash. Okay, this is the English keyboard. I'm not used to that, but I have to change my keyboard settings to English because otherwise GnuCash would stay in German. So GnuCash English, and rename that the same. Okay, now GnuCash created a few files, but for you only the .gnucash file is relevant. So if you want to open another GnuCash file, you just open the .gnucash file. Okay, now we have our account hierarchy and we can do some transactions. Let's just go to our checking account, because at least that's where I pay my bills from. So here you have the first transaction, which is not yet saved, but the date today is already put in. We can call that's our let's say we buy some meat, and we put that in which we have to say in which account we want to put it. Okay, so we put that in groceries, and we say this is not a deposit, but it's a withdrawal, and maybe it costs us $20, and just press enter. Now our transaction is saved. So now we have a withdrawal of $20 and our balance is also 20, which is fine. Now if you get your paycheck, then we would book that on the income, and is there some salary? And we say we get like maybe $2,000, and now our balance is 1.980. Okay, pretty straightforward, I think. And now what I meant by double entry bookkeeping is that this is the first account that our paycheck is booked in, and the second account is our income salary account, which is also an account. So at least in many other German accounting softwares, you just have the categories, but it's not an account itself. In GnuCash, everything is an account. So if you go to right click and jump, then you jump to the other account where your paycheck is kept, and that's the salary account. And now you see here in the salary account we have income 2000, because this is like the plus, and in our checkings account we have a deposit of 2000, which comes from our salary account. Okay, so this is the basics of accounts. Now what you can do the jump here if you want to, and jump from one to the other. What you can also do is split your current transactions. So if you click split, you see our paycheck and you see the two transactions that are booked here. One in our checking account, the other in a salary account. And you can disable it by clicking another time. Okay, that's the first thing, just creating normal transactions. Now, the cool thing about GnuCash is that you can actually connect your GnuCash account to your online banking account. Now, whether it works or not depends on your bank. So, let's say you live in Europe, then if your bank can manage the HBCI, like the Human Banking Computer Interface protocol, then you can connect your GnuCash account to your online banking account, and even you can get your transactions directly from your online banking account, and you can even do transactions from within GnuCash. So that's pretty cool. What I do is I only get my transactions into GnuCash, but I don't do the transactions from within GnuCash. But if you'd like to do it, that's also possible. Now, if you aren't situated in Europe, let's say you're in the US, then most likely the HBCI protocol is not supported by your bank. So what you have to watch out for is the OFX. And if you go to ofxhome.com, you can search for your bank, and I did it with the Bank of America, and it finds quite a lot of banks. So we just click on the normal Bank of America. You here get your FI ID, your URL, and so forth. Okay, so now you know your bank can handle the OFX protocol. And what you can do in GnuCash now is go to Tools and go to Online Banking Setup, and now the AQ Banking Assistant or wizard opens. And this is a wizard with which you can connect to your online bank account. Okay, you click forward, and now you start the AQ Banking wizard, and you have to create a new user. And this user is related to your online banking user. So let's say you are at the Bank of America or Bank of Scotland or whatever, and you have a checking account, maybe you have a savings account, 2 or 3 accounts at the same bank. Now this is a user that can handle those accounts. Okay, now GnuCash asks if we want to save a file automatically, and yeah, we can do that always. That's quite handy. And we create a new user and select next. So this is the protocol I talked about 2 minutes ago. And like I said, if your bank supports HBCI, you're good to go using that. And if it doesn't, you can use the OFX Direct Connect backend. Now, let me just show you that one. We click on Next and Run. Now yet another wizard opens, and if we click on Next, we now have to select our bank, and we do that by select and searching our bank. So we can search the Bank of America, and here you have even more banks listed than at the OFX Home web page. Okay, you can select the bank, click OK, and then the data from your bank is put in here, and most importantly the server URL. Now if you go next, you have to enter your username, client user ID, and client UID. Now that you have to get from your bank. Most likely this is also the data that you log in to your online banking account via the web page of your bank. So it's not that hard. Okay, we can't do that because I don't have a bank account at the Bank of America. But if you would click on Next, you would enter your PIN or your password, and if it's right, you get a selection of your banking accounts from your online bank. And this is where you can add your banking account to a GnuCash bank account. Okay, now the same is true if your bank supports the HBCI. You go to Next. Now you have to select like which setup method you want to use, and in my case it was a PIN 10 account, which is just a password account. So if you go to Run here, you get the HBCI setup wizard, and again you have to put in your bank code, bank name, server URL. It's quite similar to the OFX You can select your bank here. If I go to bank code, I can select like some German banks are listed here and click OK. And if the server URL is not put in here, you have to Google or search the server URL yourself. So just go to Google, type in HBCI and then your bank, and then most likely you'll find the server URL you have to put here. Okay, so this is how you set up your online banking. Now, after you've set up it, you've set it up, you have to connect, let's say, your checking account to your online banking checking account. And that's what I said. When you get the list of accounts from your online bank after doing the online banking setup, a GnuCash window opens, and there you can double click on the GnuCash accounts and you can select one of these. And if you do that, you have the both connected. So that's it. And if you then click on your checking account, go to Actions, Online Actions, and let's say Get Transactions. You can also do Get Balance, but Get Transactions is what I do most. Then, after entering your password again, if you didn't save it, you get all your online banking transactions, which is pretty cool. Sometimes you have to do some work after it because the categories are not always filled in as you'd like. At least it's true in my case. So the expenses accounts, sometimes I have to double check the transactions that come from the bank, and maybe select another expense here. Okay, so that's it for the online banking, which is a pretty cool feature of GnuCash. So GnuCash is the only program that I know of that can handle it that well, and is for free. So that's an important part. Okay, now what you can also do is you can schedule a transaction. And what that means is, if you want, let's say, a loan or something else to be transferred every first of the month, you go to Schedule, click your transactions before you do that. So let's say our paycheck comes every month, and we don't get it from the online banking. If you do, you don't have to do the scheduled transactions. But if you don't, you click on Schedule, and there's a calendar opening, and the end, we can say never end. Hopefully our paycheck never ends. Frequency is daily. That would be quite nice, but in Germany it's monthly. Maybe it's weekly in the US. I don't know that for sure. So you can enter the start date, and we set weekly, and you see here and which date your transactions will be made. So if you click OK, now you have scheduled your paycheck transaction, and you can go to Actions, Schedule Transactions, and Schedule Transaction Editor. Now here we see our paycheck. It never occurred because it wasn't yet it wasn't yet made. So this is the upcoming transactions, and here you see a list of all upcoming transactions. And if you mouse over one date, then you see our paycheck weekly. Okay, if you want to delete the paycheck transaction because maybe you got fired, hopefully not, but if you do, you can go to delete. Make sure to select your paycheck here and click on delete, confirm, and now it's deleted. Okay, so that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video, got some value out of it. If you did, I'd of course appreciate a comment or a thumbs up, and you can of course subscribe to my channel. And yeah, I hope to see you guys next time. Bye.